Yeah. So, yeah, man. I think the last podcast we did was last was it last week or maybe the week before?
I think it was 2 weeks ago, man.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Um, yeah. So, you were just telling me earlier that you had some plans for this year if everything kind of slows down.
Yeah, if everything goes back to normal, for sure. Basically, my pops opened a new shop here in town, and I've been helping them here and there. And once this all blows over, I want to be able to go there full time. So hopefully, this virus or whatever you call it, pandemic thing, or at least a lockdown, goes away. So I don't have to be worried about going out and all that, and we can open our shop doors to the public more so than just the friends and family. But for right now, we're just keeping it low key. But hopefully, 2020 will bring some better news than what it already has, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Um, yeah. It's unfortunate, but what can you do? So you were saying something about like going on vacation, and then you were hoping like take over your dad's business, or
Yeah, so basically, well, I mean, I'm 20. What am I right now? 22?
do you know?
22? I
Do you
don't
know
even
how old
know.
you are?
Someone asked me that question not too long ago, and I legit had to go ask my mother, and I was like, how old am I? Because my 21st or my 22nd birthday, I was out in Windsor by myself, like everybody else was here. So, like, I wasn't in quarantine birthday or whatever you call it, but I was by myself in Windsor, and I had an exam the next day at like 6:30
Hmm.
in the morning, so I couldn't do anything that night. So literally, my birthday was like it didn't even happen. Really, it didn't. I didn't celebrate it until Monday. It was on a Friday, and I didn't celebrate it till Monday. So when it actually happened, I was like, I don't even realize I turned 22. But anyway, yeah, I'm 22, and within the next 10 years, I'm hoping to have a bit of a bigger foot inside of the doorway of my dad's business. So we'll see what happens.
Well, it's good. It's probably a smart way to go, especially if it's something that you like to do. Um, like with businesses. I mean, I know there's someone that I know that or that I knew of who had no interest in taking over their dad's business, and I don't really understand why. Like, I mean, I get it. If you're not passionate about whatever the business is, I get it. But at the end of the day, though, it's hard enough trying to get a good job as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you're granted, like, if you're just offered to take over a business, why wouldn't you? You know?
Yeah, I can see that. Kind of where you said that, like, if you don't have a passion or a drive for it and all that, it kind of makes sense because at that point you're literally just wasting time and
Mm-hmm.
money and kind of ruining a business that was depends if it was like there's a lot of businesses out there, especially like greenhouse businesses where we're at least like Leamington area and all such, where they're like it's old money. Basically, it was their grandfather's grandfather who started it, and now that multi-million-dollar business is in 27-year-old Jason's hands. You know what I mean? Who probably didn't even want to do that when he was younger, but there was so
Mm-hmm.
much pressure that was put onto him, and it'll probably be passed down to his kids and his kids after that. And you got to figure out what point the family business needs to stop. You know what I mean? Because not everyone wants to follow in people's footsteps, and I understand that, but it depends, man. Like you said, if you have a doorway right there, why not? And if the door is unlocked, why not go inside and check out the room, so to say, than just not even try and walk away and maybe succeed at something else, but maybe you'll fail too. So who knows? It's good to have two options, right? Option A, option B in life. So
Yeah. No, and that's true. Yeah. Before I forget, now that I was kind of thinking about when you were talking about with the pandemic going on with your birthday and you're by yourself and everything. Um, I guess I gotta ask you: have you watched that? I guess it's a movie documentary. I don't really know what to call it, but it's called Plandemic. It's with this
no,
guy. He is talking to. She's some kind of doctor. Like, she's like a biologist, and she kind of like tries to debunk what's really going on with the pandemic. I guess my sister, she sent it to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. And I didn't watch it until the next day, and I wasn't really too eager to, because I thought, like, oh, come on, this is bullshit. And I watched it, and it really did kind of make you think about it. Um, but the more and more I thought about, like, kind of, kind of doing a retrospective after, and really thought it through. I don't know if that's really entirely true what the woman was saying on the video. She was talking about how it was created in the lab, which I will agree with that part. I tend to believe that it could have possibly, like, not intentionally, but made in the lab. And then, but she was talking about how, like, this is all about money and people are getting rich, which they are. The uh, the pharmaceutical companies are going to be rich with the vaccine. But I mean, like, they're talking about how this is so much bigger than it actually is. And I don't know, like, I don't know to really what to make of it. I don't know what do you have to make of this whole thing?
So I do believe that it is, well, I can't really say that. In my opinion, I think it was made in the lab. I said this in January that this was a population control before this whole entire conspiracy conspiracy theorists came up with all these different ideas of population control. In my mind, January like 3rd or 4th. I think it was 2 days before my birthday, but so the 5th, sorry. And basically I seen the news headline or whatever. It's COVID-19 or something like that, and I was like,
Yeah.
before it was even an epidemic, before even probably 100 people were infected or whatever, I was like, first thing that came into my mind was population control. We're hitting close to like probably 8 billion people are on this planet now, if not more than that. I'm not really sure the amount, but I'll get in a second. But just to think that, like, how much can our world actually really take until there's too many people? You can already see it. We can already see the differences that it's already making. There was one in Italy, actually. It was basically in Italy, they have these like little rivers, right? These love rivers that they call it. And basically, 2 people, 3 people hop in the canoe or whatever, and they row down this little love river or whatever. And they showed a before picture in like January to, I think it was last month. Two side by side, same river, same area of the picture was
Mm-hmm.
taken, but months apart. And like in January, the water was all like mucky and dirty, and like there was no fish around. And then now you see the river, and it's like there's a bunch of fish. It's clear water. It's beautiful, sparkling water. And then you just think like how much damage humans are actually doing to the world, which I understand. I think everybody does understand that we're apex predator or whatever, right? We're not great people, but you can just see
Yeah,
the little,
definitely not.
you can see the little bit of the differences throughout the whole entire world, and that's the reason why I do think it is a population control, kind of like. But a thing that my buddy mentioned the other day was to like contradict to my opinion or whatever. He tends to do that a lot. Is if it was population control, would you think that there'd be hundreds of millions of people that are dead compared to the small amount that are actually, I don't know the statistic right now, so I'm not going to say it, but the minuscule amount of people that have actually died from this, you think it'd be much higher if it was population control, which I can agree to a point, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe they just don't want to do it all at once. Maybe they're just kind of stretching it out, and then like 6 months from now, everybody's dead. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. This is all just in my head. I think we all can come up with different ideas too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, that's pretty valid. That's a valid um, thought. Uh, I think for sure, like, this is what I fully believe. I do believe it was created in a lab. Um, Now, I don't think it was intentional by any means, but I think what happened was, uh, China, it somehow got, like, leaked. It somehow got, transmitted. What I think, and what they were kind of explaining in the video, it made a lot of sense. Uh, so they were talking about how, they think that they were working on the virus, like they were studying it, and for actual purpose.
Yeah.
and what happened was it mutated, and that's essentially what happens when a virus or a flu goes from animal to human. So what they think is they had the virus, and they were working on it, and it somehow mutated, and that's how it kind of transmitted to a person, then the person to a person, then so on and so on.
Okay.
uh, and I think that's what happened. That's why China was so quiet about it. They shut their mouth about it because, well, for one, I mean, China. When you think of like a place like China, they want to keep their honor, and they don't want to really let the world know what's going on. But two, I think the thing is, and I was discussing this with my parents. I think that with that, they knew that if the rest of the world knew how bad it really was, they know that they would have had to let the other countries buy all the PPE. I think that's what's called PPE
Yeah,
equipment.
that's right. Yeah.
And they knew, and they wanted to stockpile and everything. They wanted to hog everything for themselves, and it was probably worse than it actually was. And and I think too, it's probably still worse than it actually is. They still have not. They said, "Oh, we only stopped at 80,000." And I mean, part of it you could see that because they really did lock down the country. I mean, the lockdown. Everybody was locked in their house. Like everything was locked down. But when I look at the stats, and they have about 80,000, they're only getting about 6 or 7 people infected per day. I'm like, that's really hard to believe because they were opening the country back up, and I'm thinking there's no way that they just randomly are getting 4 or 5 people per day. That's just, it doesn't seem very accurate to me, and that's kind of why I think they are lying. I mean, I think everyone kind of knows the story of China and how they've lied, and how
Hmm.
I think they're kind of holding back the numbers. But yeah, that's what I believe, and and it was really interesting what Doug Ford said about the whole thing. He said, "Never, I not not direct quote, but he said something similar like this will not." Canada is going to be prepared next time. We're not going to go through this shit again. Like this time, it's better to just spend more money making the masks and the PPE equipment here in Canada than saving a couple cents having it made in China. Um, and it's like I don't know. I don't know why we never thought about this before because everything revolves money. So if you can if you can get things done cheaper, you're going to you're gonna want to get it done somewhere that's cheaper. It's no different than factories. What factories are doing now, like I think there was a Toyota plant somewhere in Ontario, and they shut it down. From what I hear, they shut it down, and they planned on moving it to Mexico because they knew that they could charge people less money and save more money. And I'm thinking, like the leaders or the owners of these companies are rich as hell, and you want to make more and more money, and that's disgusting. But
Yeah.
I get
So
it. I mean, you own a company, great for you, but at the end of the day, I think a little bit of decency doesn't hurt. I don't know. That's just me though.
yeah, man. Like I said, we're all entitled to our own opinions. I'm gonna fact check you about 3 minutes ago when you said the Toyota thing. At least in Chatham, it was our international transportation plant, the biggest plant that we had in Chatham. They shut down and moved their stuff to Mexico because the employees wanted to get more money or something like that, and they figured out, excuse me, if they moved all of their stuff, their business out to Mexico, they could charge the Mexicans cheaper, and make a bigger profit off of it. So it caused quite a few job losses in Chatham, but they ended up getting like severance pay of like 20 years or something like that. I forget exactly what it
Oh
was, but
wow.
they got a nice sum. But yeah, the companies do it all the time where if you get cheaper stuff, you go to a different country. If that doesn't work, then you claim bankruptcy, blah, 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 and then move and take all the cash you had hidden away in different bank accounts, offshore bank accounts or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cash, and move out. So at the end of the day, man, like I said, we're apex predators. Humans are nothing but a disease to this world, and it's my opinion, obviously, but
No, you're not wrong.
we definitely kill everything that we touch. So, and if it takes a virus or a meteor or an earthquake, 7.2 earthquake magnitude, to shock us, then so be it. But I guarantee this virus or this pandemic or whatever we want to call it, um, will kind of mush our brains a little bit to kind of understand more common sense and have a little bit more humanity in us for the next 10 years. And then we'll go back to norm. The normal is, or whatever we want to call it. And then another thing will happen again 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the road, something as big as this, if not bigger. And then it's just going to be a repeat process, man. I think that's what's going to happen. But
Well, yeah,
we'll see.
I think I think for majority of people, I think it will be a wake up call, and then you're always going to have the that 1 or 2, 3% of the people who are just going to continue to practice this. There's the same way of life that they practiced before, and they don't really understand it. Like, what really gets me is people who are so negative about this whole virus, and people are talking about how it's not as bad, it's blah, blah, like, like, well, screw the rules, and the government's out to get you, and it's like, you know what I mean, like, as like how you were saying before, like, you're entitled to your opinion, but at the same time, you got to really think, like, are you guys serious? Like, you really think
Yeah.
the government's out to get you? Um, like, yeah, I know it's not fun being told what to do and having to stay home and not being able to work, but the government didn't just randomly think of this just so they can just piss us off. They did it to keep people safe. Like, I don't know how much easier it is to understand that. And I think the problem is a lot of people, they read stupid propaganda on Facebook. Like, I think there's this one site or the one page on Facebook. It's called No Liberals, and honestly, it's just filled full of hate against Trudeau and the Liberals. Me personally, I did not vote for the Liberals this year because, yeah, in terms of facts, there are some things that the Liberals did that, like, were not a popular choice, and I think we all know what that was. But besides that, like, Trudeau's just a figurehead, and people got to realize, like, whoever's in power, it's not so much Trudeau's decision on what to do or what not to do. And then that brings me to my second point of it. It's like everyone was hating on Doug Ford. Now everyone's liking him, and it's like you got to give people a chance. Like, I think honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of Doug Ford. But after this thing happening, he's done a very good job for Ontario. And he's done probably a better job than or no, not probably. He's done a way better job than the president of the United States. Like, who tells someone to go inject themselves with disinfectant and stuff? Like, I'm thinking, are you fucking serious? Like, are you serious?
I seen that flourish or whatever on Facebook threads there, and I never opened it because I thought it was all bunch of bull crap. Is that actually legit? That's hilarious, bro. You know what I find funny though is that though, like, I'm gonna state right now, I have no political views, like, at all. I don't know anything about politics. Never really cared to, never will care to. Not my domain. Anyway, but what I do know is that Trump is just an old man who says things without thinking and forgets that, no offense to America, that half, if not more, of Americans don't understand common sense. Like, I'm sorry, but they don't. I think if he did say that, did he say that for sure? Can you quote me on that?
He said that for sure.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't like he didn't say it like, yes, go ahead and do that, but he said it like, it was kind of like a suggestion. So he said, yeah, maybe we're gonna look into ultraviolet light, and we're gonna look into and possibly injecting disinfectant. And like, it was not so much he said it to the people, but he still said it on television, and he said, like, him and his doctors are gonna look into that. And
See, I
that's
feel like when he said that though, he was probably just it's probably just like any other human out there where they. I understand he's a president and everything. He's ruling a country. You got to be careful what you say when you're doing speeches or whatever. But I think like he was joking around, thinking like people aren't actually stupid enough to do this. But oh goddamn,
I
you
don't know.
forgot about the Tide Pods, man. That's what I mean. At the end of the day, it comes to the person who's injecting themselves with freaking disinfectant, not the person who told you to do it. Because I could easily tell you, if I was a political figure or whatever, I'd tell you to jump in this pit full of needles filled with AIDS. Are you gonna do it? Yeah, do it. You know what I mean? Like it's up to you. Like, yeah, I could say
Yeah,
there's a cure here for AIDS, but first you got to jump in the pit full of needles full of AIDS to get the cure for AIDS. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's like it's up to you. You're a human being, especially if you're an adult. You know what I mean? It's probably like 6-year-olds that are doing it anyway, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, have you heard about this thing? It's called the Muranovirus. So I guess
No.
someone came up with it. They call it the Muranovirus. Like obviously the term moron, right?
Mm.
There's people that are literally trying to get themselves sick just to kind of get the thing over with, so they can just go and do whatever they want. And I'm thinking, well, it's more than just you getting sick; it's getting other people sick. like, I don't know, like people are literally trying to get themselves sick so they can get it and get it done and over with, or you can keep yourself safe and you might never get it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. See, right there, I think it's that's what do you call the moron virus?
They call it the Moranovirus.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call it the Karen virus because when you say that, it sounds like an anti-vaxxer, 43-year-old Karen. Can I speak to the manager type of girl who is like, okay, maybe if I get inject myself with a disease that's worse than Corona, that I'll be able to fight off Corona when I get it. Like, come on, just that's what I mean. People lack common sense and like, I don't know, like what's the thing that they say online? The keyboard warriors, the shorten the herd or something like that. I forget what they call it. The
Yeah,
stupid ones die out. Let them do their own thing. That's I believe in that too. So I don't know, man. Like I'm just doing me still. I haven't really changed much since this epidemic or pandemic, sorry, started. I mean, obviously, I got laid off from my main job or whatever, but I was fortunate enough to have a shop too. So
yeah,
keeps me busy. And really, the only thing that's changed, other than my daily routine, obviously, it's changed. Sort of wake up, go to work, go to the gym, come home, play a couple video games, go to sleep. Now it's wake up, go to work when I want, which is dope. um, Sit around for a bit, do some podcasts and videos here and there, a couple bit more video games, work out for whenever I want. Like, and I've tend to found, or I found out that I've tend to or sporadically, sorry, work out throughout the day. Like, I'll go kill some deads at like I don't know 3 o'clock. No, so let's say I'll go outside, kill some arms at 10 o'clock, and then I'll go kill some deads after I get home from the shop at like 3 or 4, whenever I want to get home, and then like my whole entire an hour and a half normal block workout is spaced out throughout the whole day, and I'm just like, I gotta figure this stuff out, man, because this is getting real weird. But I'm working with a guy. I ended up using some what do you call those? Just some big old stone blocks that they use for like barricading roads or whatever. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
The topple ones. Threw those bad boys on. Probably hit around 405 pounds on the deadlift bar today for 3x2. So you
right on.
know what I mean? You got to work with what you got, I guess. But
Yeah, like that's kind of what I'm trying to do is just find any kind of weight, like anything.
yeah, buddy, I've been using anything, like anything. The bar is not really balanced, I should say. It's not balanced out, but I mean there's still heavy weight there. But we got to do what you got to do until the gyms reopen. And there's a thing
Yeah,
that I actually read today on the news. There is, of course, it's Florida again. They're making the headline news. Basically, a bunch of them got outside of their courthouse. I don't remember where in Florida, but it was in Florida for sure. And there was like hundreds of them went outside the courthouse and they're demanding for their gyms to reopen, and they're just protesting by doing jumping jacks and push-ups and sit-ups. And you got to check it out, man. It's on the news. It just posted today, I think. But you got to think, like, out of all the places in the world, of course Florida is going to be the ones protesting doing jumping jacks and push-ups. They think they can just, I don't know, they think they're another part of human beings that deserve their own rights. I guess I think they're different than all of us.
You
We'll see if it works.
get the whole like free state of Jones going on there. I mean
That's yeah.
that's like a totally that wasn't even a good analogy, but like that's like a totally different thing going on. But I mean, yeah, like they feel like they got their own kind of little country going on there, and
Right?
it's like,
I agree,
no, I don't
bro. I
think so.
agree. Yeah. At first the beaches, now the parks, now they're gonna be the gyms. What's next? Just like
Yeah,
double dates going back on or what? You're spit in my mouth kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I don't
yeah. At least with everything going on, Chatham got that like macro foods place, right?
know. If I heard about it, I've not even
Well,
looked into it.
well, this is kind of like so I've been going there here and there. So it's just macro foods. It's in Chatham. They'll show like they got like they'll have like all the nutritional. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
It's probably all backwards to you, but
Okay.
got
Okay.
like
Yeah. Macros.
yeah, it's called macro foods. So it's all like fresh food. It's like if you're meal prepping. Basically it's more made for people meal prepping. It is kind of expensive, but I mean you're getting like fresh food and it's not processed stuff, right? So it's like when you do the math and most of the things that were in here, like so this one was Tex-Mex style beef, seasoned ground sirloin, served with white rice and vegetables. When you really think about things like that at the grocery store, it's going to be kind of expensive, right? So yeah, they gotta make their profit. So it's a tiny bit expensive, but I mean, I don't think it's ideal for like it's not like ideal for like to eat it all the time and buy it all the time. But if you save like for me, I guess let's say if I worked on a Friday night and I really I'm meal prepping and I really didn't want to have to make up like a meal for me to take to work. I could easily stop by and just grab it and go. And you warm it up in the microwave for 2 minutes, and that sucker is done for you. So it's a great place, but I wouldn't say it's ideal just to eat all the time. But you know,
Yeah, I'm actually checking it out right now. They have a Facebook page or whatever. I forgot they invited me to like it a while ago, so I just gave it a like and checked out their menus. And then they got a lot of varieties on there for decent price. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna go to let's say McDonald's, and if you weren't gonna go there, go to McDonald's, buy a meal. It's gonna be 16, 17, 18 bucks.
oh, I
One
know
of the
it's
meals
crazy.
there, it was like 12, 13, 14 bucks on their site. So I definitely have to I'll have to check it out sometime soon.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, like, yeah, when I said like it's not an ideal place to eat all the time, it's not. But it's yeah, if you want to go and get a meal and get a really healthy meal, I mean McDonald's a meal could be easily $12 compared like just depending on what you're getting, right? But that's pretty typical now at McDonald's where here it's about the same price and it's good for you and it fills you like I mean this stuff here, yeah, the Tex-Mex style beef, yeah, like that stuff it filled me up pretty well. So but also that being said, like I eat a lot of small frequent meals, so if I eat something that's a little bit bigger, I do feel it really easily. Like when I have um when I have like cheat meals, for example, like a cheat meal that I typically like to eat is like two burgers, like two homemade burgers, like lean beef burgers, and I get the buns and everything. I usually throw some onion rings on there, of course. Got to get those onion rings. Um, like with those two, that fills me up. Like I'm like completely full. And so yeah. Anyway, that's macro foods, and you should definitely check it out. But yeah,
I'll
man.
make sure to definitely do that, especially because, like you said, it's I guess now that they've been around for a while, right? Like they're not brand new; they're just new to town.
Yeah, since 2015. Yeah, so the
Okay,
last 5 years.
so they came to our town at the perfect time because right now the marketing right now is all on delivery food. Like,
Oh,
you know what I
absolutely.
mean? So they're gonna be making some good bucks here and there. I'll definitely check out the food, and I'll tell you how it goes after we're done. I'll probably end up getting some tonight actually because I got food on my mind. And I was thinking of Taco Bell, but you know what I mean. Now you're talking about healthy, so I'm just like, never mind. I might get that. But
Taco Bell is like the
oh, 100%.
best food for like when
My
you get the
cheat meal, bro,
barbs.
is that too. But my main cheat meal is Taco Bell. Um, I don't know what I get. Usually, probably quesadilla anyway. I get Taco Bell. and then DQ ice creams, the
Oh
blizzards.
yeah, you get the
So,
blizzards.
oh, buddy, yes. But right now you can't. It's not even possible to get DQ because the lineup is just 35 minutes long, and I'm just like, I'm not going to be doing that. So let's stray away from food because my stomach is now gurgling. So let's go to a different topic.
Okay. Actually, before I actually get to the real topic that I really wanted to, like, that I've been thinking about for the last week. So you've been doing videos, eh? I'm inspired you to do some MCU videos, eh?
Oh, you mean the tribute videos that have been posting up
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever? Yeah, for sure, bro. I had this idea, like I've had the idea of doing that for probably since I started my exploring channel, and I just never really got around to it. I guess you could say not enough time, but now there's only but time, so I kind of just did it, and then I seen you do your X-Men video, and kind of inspired me, and you gave me some pointers and some tips
Hmm.
to make my videos better, which I thank you for. Thanks. I'm gonna start using that for the future.
No problem.
Um, but yeah, bro, it's fun, and I'm gonna go ahead and, if that's all right with you, post up my. This is my channel here, Infinity Tributes.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, so
You
uh,
designed that yourself.
yeah, bro, I used Canvas .com or whatever, and basically it's not all going to be just MCU and superheroes and all that. It's going to be, as you can see, like my next one I'm actually going to be doing, if you look at the bottom left corner, it's Elsa and Anna for my nieces. They're like huge Frozen fans, so I'm going to pick kind of like their favorite moments in there and do like a tribute video to both of them, and
Okay.
try to work it out. So we'll see. But yeah, we're going to be ranging from that to Fast and Furious to Lord of the Rings. As you can see, the ring in the top corner, different
Nice.
superheroes. So it's going to be fun. Like I said, I got nothing but time on my hands now. So uh, yeah, we'll see what happens. I see you've been doing it too. Your videos are looking superb though compared to
Thanks,
mine.
man. Yeah. Yeah, it's they weren't always that great at one time, but I mean, part of it is you kind of watch other people's videos, you watch other people's styles of how they make videos or how they do their edits. For me right now, I kind of I like I made the one video. It was the one Star Wars video, and that was kind of short. That was just a tribute video. It was more to do with the music and kind of the feel, and it was more about like the idea with Ray and Ben Solo, I guess Kylo Ren, and their kind of story. And I used kind of the other movies in there, but it was more to do with like the music because I thought it was epic music. I was like, God, I gotta use this. Um, but then I actually wanted to do a lot of retrospective videos. So like a retrospective video, I guess I don't want to like insult your intelligence, but it's like a pretty much it's just a whole summary of like a movie or a series or a TV show or whatever. And so you know what that is, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
you knew. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
you're good.
so with that, it's I'm trying to get my train of thought here again. Um, yeah, sorry. So I've been doing a lot of retrospective videos. So I started off with the X-Men one. I still currently don't have that on YouTube, just with copyright problems, just with their rules with everything. So I had to change some music around. Um, you know, it doesn't matter what you say in the video description; they still will try to block your video. But you know,
Yeah, so I ran into that problem too with my first video, the Thor tribute video there. I knew right off the bat that the song I use, Heroes, Live Forever, by, I can't think of the artist right now, but it was a perfect song for the video that I wanted to do. I didn't care about the copyright, nothing. I didn't care about if that video poured in 10 million views, I wouldn't care to get any of the money if it went, because as soon as you get a copyright flagged for music, all the ad revenue goes to the owner that owns that song that you use throughout the video. And when I made the video, I was like, I don't really care. Did it, blah 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 blah, and then I got flagged immediately. And basically, it just said, just so you know, all the ad revenue money or whatever, all the click revenue money is going to be going into the bank account of YouTube and the bank account of the creator of the song. I was like, okay, but then my second video that I made, I used non-copyrighted music. And yeah, it's doing as good as the other one. I think they're both sitting at like something like 50 or 60 views right now, so it's nothing crazy. Obviously, YouTube works in the algorithm, right? So one video will blow up just randomly, and then hopefully from that video that blows up, it'll drive more audience traffic to your channel. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
how does that work?
So basically, YouTube has an algorithm put out there. It's I don't know really know how it works exactly. It's some people say it's random. Some people say it's um, people sit behind their computer looking at different things on social media, finding tags, right, popular tags, and using those tags and direct them to say your video. That's why when you upload a video, it gives you an option to do tags. Always make tags, like no matter what. Make it relevant to the video, obviously, because there is YouTube keyboard warriors out there that'll actually go through your description and find the tags, and then just write negative comments like your tags don't even have to do anything with your video. You're here just for ad revenue money, like stuff like that. So you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing like say you do an Avengers Infinity War video, right? And you're like the main tags that you use are like computer science or some stupid thing like that. They'll actually look at that, and then because humanity is toxic, like I said, they'll find something to complain about, comment on your video, and then it'll just bring in negative traffic. So you don't want to do that. But yeah, the algorithm is random in my opinion, and like say you even go onto your YouTube right now, you go on your YouTube app right now, sign out of your account, go into like a normal domain account that it gives you, and just look at all the recommended videos on there. It's either going to be random or it's going to be things that you've clicked on. Could be ads throughout Facebook or even your phones. They say they listen to when you talk. So like say right now, actually, I'm going to have my phone on me right now, and we're going to prove it to you throughout this video within the next like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. Let's say I'm going to be talking about, I don't know, what am I going to buy? I'm going to buy a sofa couch on Amazon or something like that. It's going to go through what I just said right there and either post those ads on Facebook or have ads on YouTube or like side recommendation videos for like the best top 10 popular couches of 2020 or something like that. You know what I mean? So they definitely do listen, man. And that's the creepy part. A lot of people get freaked out about that. Me, I'm not so much like that. I don't have anything to hide. If you know me, I don't really care to hide any of my privacy. As you can see, I guess you can't. My background's right here, but if my background wasn't on, my door's open. Everybody can hear what I want to hear. But yeah, definitely if you have that problem, make sure to use either take your phone, your device or whatever, and throw it outside of the room and then have a conversation with someone. But I don't know. Do you believe in that? Do you believe that the government's always listening?
Well, not like not like
Come on. You just said the government created a freaking disease or whatever. You don't think they're listening to us right now? Come on.
well, not particularly like listening to us, but
Okay.
100% like so if you go into like a busy like okay, let's say you go into downtown Toronto, yeah, there's drones in the sky for sure. I'm sure there is. Um I think that like when they have like cameras out in the public downtown Toronto, 100% the government is looking in on that, especially for like sports events, like for like terrorism, things like that. 100%. Um, do do I think that they're listening to our conversation? I don't think it's so much they're actually listening, but there could be like satellites or like the government could be using like devices that will pick up keywords. So if I were to say to you, "Hey, I'm going to bomb the blah 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 blah," they're gonna pick that up. I'm sure those keywords will pick up, and then they'll listen and more see, okay, what the fuck is going on here? That's why the FBI and CIA and like the CSIS, like I guess they're like the CIA in Canada. That's why they find out things before everyone else. Like they already know what's going on. They already have an idea. So anybody that's talking on the phone, anything that's talked about, like if someone's gonna plan a terrorist attack, they already know what's gonna happen. Like they already got an idea who the person is, what they've been talking about. They can't just go in and say, okay, we're gonna go and blow the sucker away. No, I mean like it's a whole process. They got to get a warrant, make sure that everything is, they got enough evidence to, raid their house or whatever it is. But yeah, I think, yeah, no, I do believe that they do listen in on everyone's conversations. but
So,
not to an extent to ours. Like they're not going to care that we're having a podcast and shooting the shit. But yeah, if we were planning on like if we had a conference call and say, hey, okay, we're going to meet up and we're going to do this big drug bust at 5 o'clock, or we're going to have this big drug meet meet up tomorrow at like 5 o'clock. Yeah, the government's got to listen in on and be like, hey, hold on here, what the hell's going on? So
so
yeah,
what time are we planning on meeting up for drugs? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
drugs. What is
But
drugs?
what is drugs? But you mentioned there something that they're going to be listening on to key topics like bombings, shootings,
Yeah,
stabbing,
yeah.
whatever. I did just read, as of this morning, funniest thing happened. It was an old article from August of 2019. A kid hopped on either his Xbox, his PlayStation, whatever system it was, playing Call of Duty, obviously, talking shit like a normal 15-year-old, I think he was. Yeah, he was 15. His mother stated that multiple times in the video. Basically, what he said was he threatened to, he was playing with his boys or something like that from school, 15-year-old playing with his boys, so high school. And he got mad, obviously, like we all do when playing Warzone or Call of Duty, whatever he was playing, we all get mad. But he said, what he said to his buddy is that he's going to take his father's, it was right to the point. I don't remember what kind of gun it was. It was a pistol of some sort. He named it and everything. I'm going to take this blah, blah, blah pistol to school. And I'm not saying this, by the way, government. This is something that someone else said. He's going to take that pistol to school and shoot a certain amount of people. There was, I think it's 7 or something like that, people. And the government ended up like taking that recording or whatever, showed up to his house and arrested him, sent him to juvenile jail or whatever
Oh
because
wow.
because he made that statement. And by the way, I'm just saying this right now. None of that is actually coming from me. This is coming from someone else. I'm just relaying that information. But yeah. But anyway, I seen that and I was just like, holy crap! The amounts of the things that I've said playing Call of Duty, bro. I gotta be like, be careful because like that's scary, man. But because he said 3 words on online or whatever, saying that he's gonna go shoot up some place. Cops showed up at his door, threw him in handcuffs, and the mother was crying, obviously, don't take it, he's just a kid or whatever, but he was 15, he knew his actions that he said, and they arrested him, threw him in juvenile. So just goes to show, be careful what you say, because they are listening for sure.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because so there's this guy I used to play online with a lot. We used to play Friday the 13th game online all the time. This guy was hilarious. It was me, him, and a couple other people. His name is Jimmy. Um, and so me, him, and a couple other people from the States, we played this game like every single day. When I wasn't working out, we played this game all the time. And it was funny. We had the best conversations. Well, anyway, so he works like he's in the Air Force and he works for like the intelligence. And people are like asking like, so what do you guys look for? And they're like, they deal with like kind of like terrorism. They deal with like spies, things like that. And someone's like, well, do you guys ever care about people doing drugs? He's like, and he kind of laughs. He says, well, we're not gonna storm someone's basement because someone's smoking weed in their mom's basement.
Yeah, I feel
He's
like they
like,
are.
we don't care about that. We don't care. He's like,
Yeah.
no, we're caring more about like Russians or like China and all
People
that.
that are trying to bomb
Yeah,
cities and kill massive amount of people, not Joshua in his mother's basement smoking up dope.
smoking out of a bong or something. Yeah, exactly.
Um, I know this is going to be a transition, like completely a different way, but
Oh shoot,
I want to talk about. Did you hear about what's happening with Connor Murphy right now?
who?
Connor Murphy, one of the popular fitness influencers out there on YouTube.
I don't even know who the guy is.
Basically, Connor Murphy's this guy. He's notorious for going around to different beaches and different nightclubs or whatever, and just randomly taking his shirt off and having people rate him or whatever. His videos go viral all the time. But basically, he like had a mental breakdown of some sort
Oh
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
couple days
Oh
ago.
okay.
Yeah, bro. And
But yeah, you sent me that thing.
bro, I watched like all of them, and it's insane. So basically, he was tripping out on some kind of drug when he made these videos. It was like a 3-day high or something like that, called Mother's Aurora or something like that. It's some high end psychedelic drug. Main ingredient is DMT, and
Oh DMT. Oh my
yeah,
god.
so he was having a bad trip or whatever. Decided to make a YouTube video, and like he's just definitely go check it out. I mean, it's going to drive more traffic to his channel or whatever. But basically, he was making like a goodbye video or something like that, like a suicide video or something like that. And
What?
yeah, it's pretty messed up. But apparently, he made sure in the videos to say that it was all acting and it was all a joke that way, because YouTube algorithm, once they hear that stuff, they won't actually allow it to post. But because he said that he's acting, all of these videos are allowed to stay up. You can't take it down or whatever. You can't flag it, because throughout the video, he constantly reminds the audience, which he clearly isn't, that he's acting. But definitely check it out if you guys haven't done it. It's Connor Murphy on YouTube, and just see. It's really cool. I like to see the. I'm really always interested in like how the mind works. Like, I'm not a really big drug guy, obviously. In high school, whatever, I might have did like a little bit of weed here and there, but like I've never really been into that. But
Hmm.
I just like to see like the human mind process of going through something as tough as like DMT and stuff like that, just to see it. It's so cool to see like how you react on that compared to how you act in real life. Because like when you take that stuff, he mentions in the video that he's woke, quote unquote, and that he's enlightened, that he wants other people to be as be on the same enlightenment scale as he is. And it's just like how like how deep is the human mind that we don't really know so much about it, to like go into a completely different state that everybody else at your home, your friends and your family treats you as, you know what I mean? You can go from like one person to like a completely different personality. It's crazy. But I would never take all that stuff, just saying right now. But
Yeah,
it's cool
no,
to
it's
see
okay.
other people take it. What are your thoughts on that? Do you know anybody who's ever taken psychedelic drugs or anything like that? Because
Um, I've seen like so I know somebody who does take psychedelics. I don't want to mention any names,
that's fine.
just out of respect. I've never done it. I never will. Not that I'm not against it. Or I'm not like hating people that do. It just not for me. I got a good job. I don't really want to deal with psychedelics. Um, but with psychedelics, you know what? I mean, I've heard some things about mushrooms, like they help people with depression. I don't really know how that helps people with depression, like especially if you trip out and you're having bad trips and you're having crazy stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know like mushrooms, they are pretty much like natural, like they grow. I'm assuming like that unless they do something else to them. Like LSD, things like that. I personally don't think it's probably the healthiest thing for you. Um, but I don't know. Like I've heard a lot of crazy stuff. Like I think somewhere in the states they were planning, or they did plan or they did legalize magic mushrooms. Um, Crazy world we're living in. You know, you wouldn't have thought that 50 years ago. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to think. I mean, I guess it's the same rule applies. I mean, people want to if it's their own. I'm not gonna stick my nose in other people's business. If they want to sit in their house and they want to take psychedelics, as long as they're not driving, they're not putting anybody at risk. That's their choice. You know, at the end of the day, it is their choice. As long as they're not risking anything, they're not putting anybody else's life in danger. Like it is what it is. I've heard like I watched the video of Mike Tyson. He took DMT one time, and you gotta watch it. It's hilarious.
The man sounds like he's on DMT every time he talks.
You know what? It's funny, Mike Tyson taking DMT. It's someone like him. I can imagine what his trips would be, but I don't know. I just wanted to quit because I know we're probably really running up on time now. I just wanted to kind of get to the topic that I wanted to
Yeah,
kind of get to.
let's start it up.
So I've been thinking about this last couple of weeks. I actually had this conversation with my sister just because we've always been close like that, and we have like kind of deep conversations. So one thing we were kind of talking about, and it's about relationships. And I know you kind of said to me that you haven't really, if it's okay, I say on here that you
Yeah,
haven't.
that's fine. That's fine.
Um, so I guess maybe you can just kind of agree and or disagree, whatever you want. So with relationships, I think a lot of people when they look at relationships, they look at it as, oh, is the person have a good personality? Does someone like the same things I do? Does this person are you physically attracted to the person? Well, you should be a little bit. Should you like the personality? Well, I hope so. I mean, you should always be careful because people don't really show who they are until a few months in, maybe even a year in. Um, but a lot of people don't realize, or people forget about another thing about in relationships. And I think that one big thing is people need to realize that people come from different families. And I think that's why a lot of relationships fail. It's not just, I mean, some people just fall out of love, and it does happen. I mean, people get mixed feelings, or say someone could realize they've been gay their whole life, or there's so many different things that do happen. But I think, and I truly do believe this. One thing is people learning to live with another person, and part of that is people learning to come together with someone who comes from a different background. And I'm not just talking about race or religion, but it could just be simply like family values. And I guess, like, for me, for example, like if I'm with somebody, for me, I was always raised so my parents don't really drink that much. Okay. And I was always growing in that kind of environment where I never really saw my parents drink, because my parents just don't really drink. They're not much of a drinkers. My mom doesn't really drink. My dad, totally different story. Um, so my parents don't really drink. I was growing up in that environment. Now, say if I was with somebody who, not they're not an alcoholic, but their family really like to drink on the weekends, or they like to party, or they like to throw parties here and there. I could look at them and be like, okay, I'm not, like, that's how she was raised, and that's how her family, that's how their family like to do things. That's how they like to have fun. Do I look at that and be like, okay, I can't be with this girl because that's not how I was raised? Or do you accept it, and you have to look at a relationship and look at what are the most important things in a relationship? Does she have a job? Is she respectful of me and my family? Is she respectful of herself? Is she an alcoholic? Is she a drug user? Is she, I could go on and on and on. So you kind of have to look at, are these things that I can live with? And I think a lot of people miss that. People uh, don't realize not just uh, the looks and the personality, but they need to look at, can I live with these things? A lot of people miss that, and I think that's why a lot of people have unsuccessful relationships. And like for me, for example, with my girlfriend, I'm not trying to kiss ass here. I am being serious. Like with my girlfriend, she might do things different with her family, and they do. They, I mean, they do have similarities with my family, which helps. And we both like the same things. We have a lot of same interests, but our families are two different families. Like her family, she was raised different than I was. Like she just was. Like that's just how it is. Um, like with her family might like to go to Florida every year. Now I could look at that and be like, well, I'm not down. Like maybe that's not the way I was raised, but could I live with that? Could I do that every year, or can I be with someone that likes to do that every year? Well, that's something I have to ask myself, of course, obviously. But like that's just an example. Like, so I guess what my point is, like, people need to realize, like, there's so much more into relationships than just the basic things. So I gotta ask you, would you agree with that? I know I talked a lot there, but
Yeah. So from what I'm getting at is that, uh, so basically, when you said earlier that, um, can you live with certain person's traits or something like that? Like personally, I can't even imagine being married or having a long term relationship right now, just because how busy my life is. I give you kudos to that, because like I don't know how you do it, but right now there are people out there that just want to, how do I say this without coming off so much as a simp? Kind of like focus on themselves, really. You know what I mean? Where like
mm-hmm.
you don't want to get tied up. That's personally me. I don't want to be tied down. But basically, I'm getting off topic here. Earlier, you said that you can't. you got to figure out if you want to live with someone's certain traits, if they're into drugs or if they're into alcohol. But what if you get into that relationship and you don't realize that at the time until, let's say, a month comes down and you realize that you're not really so keen on drugs and alcohol, but it turns out she's actually low key really into that stuff? Would you judge her on her tr- not traditions, but on her actions that she's doing and end it right there just because of that? Or would you talk to her or him, whoever you're with, and sit down with them and say that you don't like these things and if we can work together to change these things? Or would you just, because there is people out there that'll just close the door right on them and kick them out, but then there's other people that will work with them back and forth. What would you do? Would you try to kind of find a median between you two, or would you close the door and kick them out?
Well,
Personally, I would probably kick them out. Personally, that's just me, because like I don't like working on things with people in a sense. I'm more to myself. Like, you kind of figure out what you want to do. It's your life. But if you don't want to come to my terms, I've always been like that. It sounds like an asshole and a dick move, but just who I am. What about you?
well, I think for me, yeah, I mean, and that does tend to happen. You don't know and someone until say a couple months in, and then you find out, oh, well, they've been doing cocaine behind your back because they're afraid, or whatever. It could be simple as that. Um, I think it's a different in every relationship, but yeah, I mean, like that's my point. Like, there's things that you can live with, and there's things that you can't live with. So, say if you have a girl who might be a very nice girl. She might be a very nice girl. Nice parents. Raised proper. She works. She has friends. She's respectful of you and your family. She wants to have a family, et cetera, et cetera. She wants long-term goals for her life, and she wants to do all the right things in her life. But she tends to like to party a lot, and tends to party a lot with guys, and has done inappropriate things, and makes you question it. Is that something you can live with and something that you can work with her with? I think that's something that you have to decide for yourself. I mean, no one else can make it for you. I mean, that's why you have friends, right? You got buddies to kind of chat with, and you need advice for. But then at the end of the day, that's something that you have to decide. Like, for myself, before I was with Steph, I was in kind of a toxic relationship, and I don't want to like throw anybody under the bus, even though honestly I wasn't in the wrong at any point. But I was with someone who was pretty much an alcoholic. I mean, wasn't the stereotypical alcoholic, but she was an alcoholic, and she did a lot of things that I wasn't okay with. Now, obviously, I was in a bad relationship that sometimes it's hard to understand. It's like, why don't you just dump? Why don't you just dump her? But like, obviously, when you're in that situation, sometimes you don't really know until you know. Um, and with her, like, for me, like, I think I was masked by all the good things by her, or but a lot of the bad things were all kind of under the rug, I guess. Like, um, if I just seen that I could have done better, which I have. I mean, my girlfriend's great. She's awesome, and I'm so lucky to have her. But I kind of realized that I can do so much better, and I dumped her because I said I don't deserve to be treated this way. I'm not going to be with someone who's not going to do anything with their life, who's an alcoholic, and someone who that gives me anxiety, that I couldn't trust. And trust is the number one ingredient to a successful relationship, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, if you look at that, I mean, it all comes down to what can you live with and what you can't live with. I guess that's pretty much the whole motto of what I'm saying.
So trust, in your opinion, is the number one, out of everything else?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I can agree with that for sure. But like I said, man, I don't have much domain to really talk on this subject.
Right.
Because, like I said, I've always been, and I don't know if I always will be, but I've always been more to like a lone wolf, I should say. But I mean, they can try. If someone wants to try to tie me down, I don't like going out and looking for, um, what would you say? I don't know, a significant other. Never been like that. Maybe in the future, we'll see. For right now, I'm kind of just focusing on myself, making that bank account just roll up and have a good time. 22, living large, bro.
That's okay. You know, and you know what though? It's crazy you say that because I was never one to go out to the bars to like try and meet girls just because, well, for one, it's so hard to do at the bars. Like girls are very like they want most girls are going to the bar want to go out with the girls and want to have a good time and the guys it's always the guys that are like trying to chase the girls, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like I never was much of that kind of person. When I went out to the bar, usually, it would just be like a night with the guys, go out with the boys, have some beers, have fun and party and stuff. But yeah. So, but like at the same time, I wasn't really one to go and try it because I knew. I mean, going out to the bar and trying to meet chicks, I don't know. I just think it's not the best idea, just because you get girls that are drinking and you don't want to get your feelings hurt. Like, hey, here's my number, and then you never hear from them again because they were just shit faced.
Yeah, you don't want to get one of those rape charges either.
What's that?
You don't want to get a girl drunk and just do your thing, and then they throw you under the bus.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's interesting about that. I think that's kind of sexist. And you know why? Because, okay, say if a girl is drunk and you're
Mm-hmm.
drunk and you happen to hook up with her and then she puts charges on you, it's like, but I was drunk too. So
Yeah,
she
I
easily
can
could
agree
have
with that.
taken advantage of me and
I'm
she couldn't
sure.
have known it.
I'm sure there's like laws that help out the defendant at hand to get around there if you get the right lawyer. Like I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
not all of those charges end up going towards just the dude. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I've never really been in that situation, and I never want to be in that situation.
Me either,
So,
man.
but
Well, I
they
won't
do.
because,
Well, you got the love of your life, bro.
absolutely. And
You're set.
don't need to get drunk. So,
Yeah. Well, I hope not, bro. Then I would
and
be
it might be a problem on my part then. So,
I'd be rethinking your relationship there, bud.
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's my opinion about that. Anything else you'd like to talk about, or
No, man. I mean, I think that's everything. I know, like you didn't really have much to say on that topic, but
yeah,
you
we'll
know,
think of something different for the next one. Hopefully you can. I don't really know what we're sitting at. Do you know what time we're sitting at? Probably roughly an hour,
you got me, man.
right? But yeah, man. As always, thanks for having me, man. Like I said,
Hey,
I'm not doing much during the quarantine, so if you
I'm,
ever want to invite me, hit me up.
dude. It's always an honor to have you on, man.
Thanks, brother. As always, bro. I'm out. I'm gonna play some video games and call her a night. Thanks for having me,
Yeah,
buddy.
man.
Peace, peace
See you,
in the
man.
Middle East.